So I got a bag of kitchen scraps here. Hi, I'm Jason, Botanical Buzzard. What are we doing with a bag of kitchen scraps? Well, this is a banana peel, some eggshells, some leftover cabbage from the cabbage soup that I made. And every time I cut a little piece of apple in there, I don't throw anything away. Nothing. If it was ever alive, then it can be composted. It can be turned into fertilizer. There's no need to buy fertilizer. There is no need to go to these big box stores or any other store and spend a bunch of money on soil amendments, fertilizers, anything like that. Mother Nature doesn't need those things. When you go out into the woods, you see things growing out of control, vigorously, invasively. And nobody's out there with fertilizer. There's nobody out there pulling weeds. There's nobody out there with a can amending the soil, feeding the individual plants. That's not taking place because what's happening is microbiological. It's microbial, it's bacterial, and it's in the ground. It's all of the little stuff. I tell people, if you really want to learn how to grow food, if you really want to be a good gardener or pretty much good at anything, when it comes to the world of physics, the micro world, the microbiological world is really the go-between. There's a microbiome on your eyes, in your sinuses, on your skin, on your lungs. There is a microbiological medium between almost everything. So what do I mean by this? When you take food scraps and you throw them in your garden, they start to break down. They begin to decompose or compost. When this happens, this is microbes breaking down and eating this stuff because plants cannot just absorb the nutrients and the minerals and the vitamins and such from this food directly. Just like when we eat food, we have a gut microbiome. All these microbes inside your body break down that stuff so that it can be absorbed into your body. We don't just absorb the nutrients and the vitamins and these minerals ourselves. We need help. And the microbiological systems in the soil are fed by the biological materials that land on the ground. When you're out into the woods and you're out into the forest, what takes place? Things die, they land on the ground, they pile on top of each other, you get dead animals, you get dead leaves, dead branches, trees fall, everything falls to the ground. And in the fall, the leaves all come down and they bury it all, and you get this mold, fungi, bacteria, all kinds of microbial life. Anaerobic and aerobic alike. Anaerobic meaning there is just no presence of oxygen. People say that this is a bad thing, but it's really not, because I have found that aerobic microbes eat anaerobic microbes. I accidentally made an anaerobic tea one time, and I went and dumped it on a compost pile that I had. Yes, it stunk bad. It was bad, rotten anaerobic stuff. But after a couple of days, I noticed that the smell coming off of that pile resembled a cow pasture. If you've ever driven by an old cow pasture, you get a whiff of that. It almost smells bad, but it smells like it's getting good. That's the good microbes beginning to take over. They're feeding on the dead bodies of the anaerobic bacteria, the microbes, the fungi, the nematodes, the protozoa, all of the small little microbial life that you can imagine, known and unknown. When this happens, they break it down to something that the roots can use. And plants know what they want to eat. They know what they need. So the roots will exude a sugar that the microbes like. And what do the microbes bring in exchange for this sugar? They bring the broken down minerals, vitamins, and materials needed for that plant to survive. They exchange it. So the root puts out the type of sugar that it needs to attract the right kind of microbe that will break down the right type of materials. And through this microbial relationship, the plant feeds. The microbes bring what it needs. The plant provides what the microbes need. Very similar. Matter of fact, it's almost identical to the same relationship that your gut microbiome has with the food that we consume. And this is the reason I don't throw scraps away. This is the reason that any type of paper, kitchen scrap, banana peel, eggshell, any of that stuff, it gets saved. It does not get wasted. If I bring in groceries from the garden, all the little bits and pieces that get cut off and discarded, the skins, the seeds, the inner guts of the melons, things of that nature, the tips, the stems, the blossom end, all of that gets put back into the garden to be reconsumed. If these things grew in your yard, that means that the microbes have already developed a relationship with these plants. Your plants have already developed a relationship with the microbes in your soil. In other words, it's become accustomed to your area. You want to keep propagating this. You want to keep putting these scraps back into the garden because these microbes and these minerals and these things already have a relationship. When you return them back to the garden, there is an immediate bioavailability. They don't have to work. They don't have to introduce themselves to each other. They don't have to fight for resources and see who's going to take over this territory. They're already welcome. The microbes are welcome back in. They instantly go to work breaking the stuff back down. This is when you see compost piles that work fast and efficiently. They've been going for a while. You've probably noticed that if you do this inside your stomach and you take care of your gut health, you've been doing this for a while, pretty soon you're able to digest a lot of stuff. Like personally, I can go eat Jerusalem artichokes. They don't bother me because I have a very healthy gut microbiome. I work at that. So my body digests that properly, quickly, efficiently, and I don't have a problem. I don't get gassy. I don't get stomach pains like a lot of people do. Anyway, I've kind of gotten a bit off topic here. The video is about microbiology. And if you really want to be a good gardener, soil scientist, anything of that nature, start with the little things, the microbes. Let's take a look at the microbiological world and study microbiology. If you really want to learn how cells and vitamins and minerals interact with each other. This is how the living world interacts with the non-living world. How does a mineral help a biological creature? Microbiology will explain that to you. So I want everybody to eat healthy, live a good life, and be self-sufficient. And I want everybody to be blessed and have a great day.